And so, the first story that I have for you guys is going to be about two trailers regarding two animated features that actually have some very strong connections with one another, believe it or not, or at least some very strong similarities. What I'm talking about is that these two films are technically the third installment of a major movie franchise. Their trailers are both released on the same day. They're both animated films that are going to be released in 2017. And both their movie franchises, well, let's be honest, they're not really looked upon well. A lot of people would say that Cars and Cars 2 are kind of the weakest Pixar films, and as for the Smurfs and the Smurfs 2, well, that's kind of self-explanatory how they sucked. But specifically, in this case, maybe these trailers are going to turn both these franchises around, and I'm talking, of course, about Smurfs The Lost Village and Cars 3. Now, before I get into Cars 3, let me first off go into the big trailer, the one that revealed a lot more about what it's going to be, and that is Smurfs The Lost Village. Now, we have already gotten a teaser trailer of Smurfs The Lost Village before, which is only like 30 seconds, which is more of our introduction of what the animation style is going to be, what the characters are going to look like, how they move, and all that kind of stuff. And that's pretty much it. We didn't get a lot more out of it. But now we have received the full trailer of Smurfs The Lost Village, which is going to give us a much better idea of what this movie is going to be. And from what I can see so far, I would actually say, well, so far it looks good. Not great, but you know what? It's good. That's probably the most positive thing that I can actually say about it. Or I'm sure a lot of people are actually shocked that this is coming from me, like the man who would constantly bash Sony Pictures Animation for the repeated amount of stupidity that they have caused, especially with the Emoji Movie. Like, you know, I am finally gonna give credit to Sony Pictures Animation that they are finally making something that looks good. At the very least that I could say about it is that, you know, at least when I'm watching this trailer of Smurfs The Lost Village, you know, I don't feel like an idiot watching it. I don't feel embarrassed watching something with such poor taste and such poor quality, you know? Like, this looks like this is gonna be way better than what we've been offered from the previous, Sony animation films. Like, this looks way better than the Hotel Transylvania films, especially better than the Cloudy films, but most namely, this is going to be their best Smurf film, hands down. Like, I think we can all agree on that by now. And I think the biggest thing that really left an impact is, hands down, the animation. You could tell that it's a lot more respectable to the Peyo design. Like, now they're sticking a lot closer to it and decide to scrap that more realistic looking bullcrap, which I gotta say, like, admittedly, I didn't have too much problems beforehand, like when the Smurfs and the Smurfs 2 was released. Like, I find that, like, it's fine as it is, but, like, the more that you stare at it, the more creepier it is. Well, you know, it's kind of like the same kind of design that you would find in a Furby or, like, Teddy Ruxpin. Like, it looks fun, it looks okay at first, but then it gets a little creepy, especially, like, when they try to make the Smurfs a bit more realistic looking. It's a bit of a turnoff in a sense. But with this one, now that they have released, like something that is computer animated, but it's much more respectable to the design that Peyo originally crafted, like, yeah, it just makes, it makes the Smurf, like, the designs from, like, the other Smurf movies look like total garbage. It looks, like, those ones look, now they look like in the qualities of Hotel Transylvania and Cloudy. They look like freaking garbage. But this one, I gotta say, it actually does look good. And one of the big things that I do notice is that, since it is coming from Sony Animation, even the animation style, like the character animation, it's a lot less cartoony than what you would get with Hotel Transylvania and Cloudy. Like, they really did tone down, and this is something that I truly appreciate. Like, it's like, it doesn't want to be so desperately cartoony in a sense. Like, you could tell that the focus is a lot less on trying to be a cartoon in a way. And that, at the very least, I do feel appreciative that they do take that they are focusing a lot less on that and try to make it more like an actual feature, that I feel truly appreciated. But on top of that, like, not only did they do a lot of improvements from their previous films, but I could definitely see that even with what was originally crafted for this movie, especially with the backgrounds and when they do enter upon the Lost Village and stuff like that, I will say that it does look pretty creative, I must say. Like, you could tell that they wanted to make this brightly colored and also very colorful land, where in a way you like it's like what they want to try to pull off with Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2, but it's actually done well. It's actually done by real artists this time. But other than that, it's it looks actually kind of impressive. And overall, I would say that this is ultimately what people would expect from a computer animated Smurfs movie in the first place. So at least in the animation department, they're capable of selling it. But there is one criticism that I do have with this, though, that I feel like this could be something that might turn off a lot of people, and that is regarding the humor. And with the humor, you could tell that a lot of it is trying to be a lot like many of the other modern animated features, where they will throw in a bit of subtle pop culture references, a lot of modernisms, and and of course they're going to throw in a lot of like Smurf jokes. Like there was at one point when there's one Smurf that's just taking therapy, and he's just there. It's like, sometimes I just feel blue, Like, a lot of the jokes, I have to admit, they're kind of lame. Now, I'm not saying they're all lame, but there was actually one time that actually did make me laugh, and that's when Papa Smurf discovers that all the Smurfs are some of the other Smurfs are pretty much gone. So like he would throw off the sheets from the beds of the Smurfs, and they'll realize like they're just mock-ups. And then there's one that like he revealed that it's just like 3 apples, and one of them was eaten, and he's just looking there like, oh, come on, that's not even convincing. That, I have to admit, was actually pretty funny. And of course, I guess this is going to be the big running gag that they're going to always advertise is, the eating flowers that they did with the teaser trailer. Yeah, that looks like it's going to be prominent. And like, they even did the exact same thing in this, where like the big yellow flower was trying to eat Brainy Smurf, and like he tries to escape, but he's all like, and all that kind of stuff. So I do feel like it's trying to repeat that a bit. So that could be my biggest turnoff, is that what I feel like Smurfs: The Lost Village could be is that, it could turn out good. It could actually turn out to be an enjoyable film, but I feel like this is not going to be different from some of the recent animated films that we have gotten, This looks like this could be in the same veins of something like the Angry Birds movie, or Storks, or Trolls. It's going to be somewhere in that level, where it's going to be more of your common animated feature. So I don't know how it's really going to hold up in that front. Like, I'm sure they'll impress some critics, but not all of them. But the one thing I will say that could be more of a turn on is the fact that it looks way better than what they did last time. So at least we're going to get a better Smurfs movie. And I think that's going to be like the big reward for many people. Like, in a way, some could say that this is going to be Sony Pictures Animation's apology for the Smurfs movie. So they're going to release something like this. Now, at this point, I'm not really expecting too much from it. Maybe it might turn out to be good. Maybe I'll get some laughs out of it and some nice animation as well. But overall, I definitely don't see this as something that a lot of people are going to put in their list among the best animated features of 2017. So overall, it could be good, but it looks like something that eventually once the summer kicks in, or after a few months, or maybe after a month or two, when the Blu-ray and DVD is going to come out of Smurfs: The Lost Village, like, people are just going to forget it and move on. So I don't know if this movie is really going to make a huge impact, especially in theaters. But in terms of that, we'll just have to wait and see. So that was the first trailer that we have gotten. But at the same time, right out of the blue, Pixar decided to come in and release our first ever look onto Cars 3. Now, let me start off by being very honest. Out of all the upcoming movies that Pixar has, I think Cars 3 is the least anticipated one. This is the one that nobody really gives a crap. And I think we can all agree that, it's probably, Cars is probably the one that deserves the least to have a godforsaken trilogy, especially when Cars 2 is pretty much unanimously agreed to be the worst Pixar film of them all. Even I have to admit that, sure, the animation is very well done, but the story-wise and stuff like that, yeah, it kind of it kind of sucked. It's just like Mater's goofy spy adventures, It could be it could have been just its own cartoon, but why do they have to devote an entire freaking Pixar movie out of it? It's just dumb. So yeah, everybody's pretty much aware that the Cars movies are not looked upon as well as the other Pixar movies, and I'm saying that in the nicest way possible. But very interestingly enough, it looks like the people at Pixar noticed that as well. I actually even heard that apparently inside Pixar, they knew very well that Cars 2 pretty much sucked. So I'm pretty much guessing that there has to be this one guy at Pixar. He decided to step up and he told everybody around the world, okay, yeah, you don't like Pixar? Oh, no, sorry about that. You don't like Pixar. That's a lie. I'm sorry about that. Let me just restart that. Okay, so you don't like Cars? All right, we get it. You're not excited for Cars 3. I understand that, so I guess you don't mind if we're going to do whatever we want with it, and you guys are still going to think that it's crap. I understand that. All right, that's fine. Oh, well, in that case, if you're not going to care about what we're going to do, then I suppose that you're not going to care if Lightning McQueen dies! And that's the one big thing that everybody's sharing. It's like, wait, what? What are you doing? Wait a minute. Excuse me? And that's pretty much what we gotten with this less than a minute teaser trailer of Cars 3, where the only thing that we see is just this race that's going on. We don't even see the faces of the cars. So we just see this race, no music whatsoever. And then suddenly we see Lightning McQueen. He spins out of control. And then the next shot, we just see slow motion Lightning McQueen doing major catastrophic flips. And at that point, we're everybody's just sitting there oh my God, is he gonna die? What the hell's happening, man? And everybody's just freaking out. And the last thing that we get is this little message saying, from this moment, everything will change. And that's it. That's pretty much what we're getting with Cars 3 so far. Holy crap. Well, okay, now, even I was just sitting there, okay, let me just say this, that, honestly for me, I'm not a huge Cars fan. I thought the first movie, it was good, not great, but good. And the second movie, honestly, it's one of those very, very few animated films in which I have reviewed, and I look back at my review, and I was thinking to myself, am I too generous was I too generous on this? Honestly, I gave Cars 2 a 6 out of 10, which honestly, I'm seriously questioning it now. But yeah, no, but looking into this, holy crap. You could definitely tell that they are taking a dark, dark turn with this. And I do have a little bit of a theory to why everybody's pretty much freaking out with this Cars 3 teaser trailer. Okay, hear me out. Yes, of course, Everybody knows that the big thing that really caught everybody off guard was mostly the change of tone. And that's mostly like where we go from Cars 2, where we have this goofy little Mater spy adventure that's mostly geared for kids. And then we just suddenly switch it up to this, where Lightning McQueen is in critical danger and he could possibly die. So yeah, there is that tone shift. But there is another reason, and I do have a bit of a theory. But, I think the reason why everybody's freaking out over this, and, they're showing major concerns and major intrigue about Cars 3, is because, sure, not many people like Cars, like the Cars franchise in general. But I don't think there's enough people who legitimately hate Cars to the point that they want to see the characters dead. Okay, yes, sure. The Cars movies are the weakest Pixar films. But in terms of movies in general, they're definitely not the worst, you know? In fact, you're not gonna find many people who would even categorize the first Cars movie as legitimately bad. Most of them will say that it's either, meh or okay. You don't really see that much hate that's been put onto either, Lightning McQueen or even with Mater, down to the point that they want to see the death of these characters. Even I have to admit that I remember when I watched the first Cars movie, Lightning McQueen, I find that Lightning McQueen was a major dick, but at least he had a bit of a change of heart. So, honestly, at the end, I still kind of have a bit of a spite of him, but it's not a hate that's still strong enough to wish him dead. Honestly, if you would tell me that they would kill off someone like Sid from Ice Age or Johnny from Hotel Transylvania, I wouldn't care less, to be honest, because those characters definitely deserve death for the sheer amount of stupidity and arguably could single-handedly destroy the entire films. But with this, I don't find Mater to be, not Mater, but I don't find Lightning McQueen to be such a hateable character to the point that he deserves death or what he deserves with this, you know? Honestly, I wouldn't even wish that to Mater. If that was Mater doing all these flips and stuff like that, honestly, I would seriously be concerned. I would still have the same reaction. I wouldn't even wish Mater death, And especially with the factor that, mostly the Disney park goers, especially, if you go into Disney's California Adventure, you would have Cars Land, and there is the attraction Radiator Springs, which is now one of the biggest attractions at Disneyland, which is definitely beloved, and a lot of people really like that. You don't even have to like the Cars movies in order to appreciate Cars Land or Radiator Springs. A lot of people really enjoy that ride. So the hate on the Cars franchise, it's not really big enough to wish any of the characters in there death or anything like that, Sure, like I said before, it may be the weakest Pixar films, but they're not the worst films in general. They're still better than, any of the Ice Age movies that Blue Sky throws out. It's better than any of the Sony animation movies that they throw out. It's still better than a lot of films that have been released, just saying. And that's probably the biggest thing why everybody is just showing so much concern with what's going on with Lightning McQueen. But then again, that could be just my little theory, and it could be more the aspect of the major tone shift. I did think about it, and I feel like what they did with the teaser trailer here for Cars 3, this would pretty much be the equivalent if they would actually release the teaser trailer for Toy Story 3, and they would pretty much only show the incinerator scene. Imagine if that would happen, if that were actually the teaser trailer for Toy Story 3. Everybody would flip their crap and lose their mind. And that's pretty much what we got here with Cars 3. But the one thing I will definitely say for sure, it absolutely grabbed my attention. Non-Cars fans like myself is looking at this, and now we're just wondering, what the fridge happened to Lightning McQueen? Is he okay? And if we look upon these two trailers, I think that's pretty much why the Cars 3 teaser trailer is a lot more successful than what we got with Smurfs The Lost Village, because there's pretty much that change of tone that we pretty much don't know what's going to happen with the fate of these characters. And honestly, it's that element of what we don't know that makes Cars 3 superior than Smurfs The Lost Village in terms of their trailers. It's because, like I said before with Smurfs The Lost Village, when you look onto that trailer, it's pretty much something that is very straightforward, and there's a very high chance that what we see is pretty much what we're gonna get. You know, this is gonna be no different than what we got this year with the Angry Birds movie, Trolls, and Storks. But with Cars 3, we only managed to get Lightning McQueen in critical danger. And I would have to say, technically, like looking back into the Cars films, this is technically not the first time that this would happen to a character in Cars, because technically there actually is a lot of death and a lot of critical damage. Like in Cars 2, there are a lot of cars that would end up getting axed off. And even in the first Cars, like when you look into the final race between the blue guy, Lightning McQueen, and the green guy, like the blue guy who's supposed to be the champion, like he pretty much went through the exact same thing like what Lightning McQueen is going through in the Cars 3 teaser trailer. So this is not the first time, but still, it does leave a massive impact, the fact that it is happening to the main character of the entire franchise. So it is pretty insane to think about. But still, like the element of we don't know what's going to happen with Lightning McQueen is what kind of like kept it in our minds about this movie. That's how it immediately grabbed our intrigue. And what's actually very interesting I want to mention is that I actually did a little poll on my personal Twitter on Animat505. I decided to look upon and go and ask the people which one do they think is the better trailer, or which was the one that really caught your intrigue, Cars 3 or Smurfs Lost Village. And I got the result right here, and out of more than 250 votes, 83% of people actually voted for Cars 3, while Smurfs Lost Village only gathered up 17%. And honestly, that's actually pretty interesting, I must say. Even though, like, technically, on a poll for more than 250 people, that doesn't sound much, but for something that I actually did and a lot of people responded like that, for me, that actually sounds amazing. But it actually does say a lot that, more than 4 out of 5 people, I would say, technically, more than 4 out of 5 people would watch both these trailers, and they would say that Cars 3 is a lot more intriguing because there's the element of what you don't know. Now, technically, this is, some could say that it's a bit unfair to compare a teaser trailer that's pretty much less than a minute than with a full trailer, which is pretty much more than 2 minutes. But in a way, with what we got with Cars 3, this is still even better than the teaser trailer of Smurfs The Lost Village, because you could definitely tell that with that one, it's still you could still see the goofiness, still the comedy, and still the colorful, subtly cartoony animation style. But with this one, you could definitely tell that Cars 3 is definitely going in a dark edge. And it absolutely did caught my intrigue to know more about what's gonna happen with Cars 3. So who knows what's pretty much gonna happen, but we will only wait for the 2 movies to be released, when Smurfs The Lost Village will be coming out on April 2017, while Cars 3 will be coming out in June. Hey guys, this is Animat. I just want to remind you guys that this is just a little taste of what you can get with the Animation Podcast. This is not all of it. If you guys want to go and listen to the full episodes of the Animation Podcast, then allow me to show you some of the different ways that you can go. First off, you can actually go on the website that it is hosted on, Filmbook, so you can go directly onto there. You can also go and check out the official Film Book Podcast YouTube page, so at least you don't have to go away from YouTube and you can listen to the podcast right there. But if you would like to listen on the go, like if you want to listen it to on your phone or on your iPad and all that kind of stuff, then you can listen to it on either iTunes or you can listen to it on Android. So those are all the different options, and if you'd like to have more info, then all you have to do is just check in the description down below. And with all that said, I just want to say thank you guys so much for listening, and until next time, see you later, dudes!